Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shouting Into the Void with myself and with Liam. Liam, I think it's this way. This is the weekly show where we watch Doctor Who episodes from days gone by, but not too many days gone by, only from 2005.
Mhm.
We're not yet at the 1980s, 70s, 60s Doctor Who. That will come in the far future
Yeah.
when we eventually run out of these episodes, which will happen. I'm
Yes.
sure. But before that, we are coming towards the end of David Tennant's run as the Doctor. Um, this is his second special. I guess we can count it as the second. Um,
Mhm.
even though the first one was the annual Christmas special. This was the first episode that aired back in 2009. Um, one of three for that year. This was Planet of the Dead. It sees the Doctor on Easter. Hey, it's only a week away
Hey.
when we're recording this,
Hooray.
so we almost timed it perfectly. Um,
Mm.
it sees him on a bus with some strangers after a lady stole a goblet, and the bus goes through a portal, and they need to get back, but not before big stingray people get them. And
Ah,
there's also some
no.
insect boys as well.
Yes.
What did you think of this episode?
Um,
Yes, Sam.
you know, it's a 45-minute story dragged out to an hour, I think. Um, it's fine. I think it's kind of just it floats in the abyss of it's a Doctor Who story, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish it wasn't a milestone Doctor Who story because it's the
Mm.
200th Doctor Who story, but unfortunately it is. But
It's right. Nobody
it's
remembers that. That's why they
yeah,
don't promote it.
no, it's not bad per se,
Mm.
but I do think it's just a bit bogged down in stuff, and
Yeah.
um, I yeah, it for a special, it's not particularly special, I would say. It's just kind of it exists. It's average in basically every sense of the word, apart from the
Yeah.
fact that it's HD now. Is kind
Yes.
of my feelings for it. It sounds horrible. I struggled for positives. And I don't mean that in like a really, really harsh way. It's just I
Yeah.
wasn't that passionate about anything
Yeah.
to be like, oh yes, that's definitely gonna be positive. So
Yeah.
you know, it's okay, it's fine. It's not unwatchable,
Mm.
but I have had more fun watching most of the other episodes we've covered,
Yes.
I would say.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's fair. I think it's best described as not boring, but definitely not interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and sort of on your positive points, I struggled from as well, and it's the same with the negatives. Because nothing in this I like was
Mm.
like, oh, it's terrible. I hate this. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not great, but it's not. This feels like the most middle episode we've ever watched.
Mm.
Um, it feels. I mean, credit to the cast because I think they give it their all at least. But from a writing and editing and cinematography point of view, it's very boring and safe most of the time, except for the weird.
Considering they went to Dubai.
Yes, you couldn't tell, could you?
How did you make Dubai boring?
Yeah, I know, and the only interesting bit of editing in this is that shot where the bus comes through and the doctor's like staring into the lens for a good 10 seconds before he like get. I'm like, what was that shot? Sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, we'll get into we do positives first, and then we do negatives. We do three of each. So we will get onto our positives now, as we try and muddle our way through this bog standard, I think, episode. And I will give a shout out, as I mentioned a minute ago, to the actors. I think the chemistry between Ten and Christina, I think they play off each other really well,
Mhm.
and I think that's a credit to the actors more than anything. I think they're clearly having fun filming this. I assume they like each other on set because it comes off that way in the script. Because I think there are times when Christina could be an unlikable character, but I think sort of having Ten there kind of reins her in a bit, especially from where she was at the start of the episode.
Yeah.
Does it undo it by the end? Maybe, but I definitely think it sort of brings her down to earth a little bit more. But I just really like that dynamic I wouldn't quite go so far as to say I wish we had more and she stuck around with, with the Doctor for the next special. But I can see why
Yeah.
she got her own Big Finish series.
Mhm.
Because I think that the actor and the character is
Because
likable.
everyone gets one.
And everyone does get one, yes. And and Christina is obviously, she's effectively second billing with David Tennant, and she's probably the only side character from the bus that gets development, I think,
Anything to do.
which probably helps the situation as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked their Doctor companion duo and the way that she sort of challenged him a bit more, similar to how Clara will with 11 and
Mhm.
11 and 12. I think she does this for David Tennant, which I don't think David Tennant has necessarily had as much, and obviously is a big reminder of Donna and all that kind of jazz that also feeds into the Time Lord Victorious, which is all we're obviously steamrolling towards as well.
Mhm.
But what is your first positive?
Let me remind myself. Oh yeah, the scene where the Doctor kind of goes around and is like, "Oh, what, like, why were you on the bus? Where were you headed?" I think that's a really lovely scene. I think everyone did a really good job in that one. It's just
Yeah.
a bit of like a normalization. It's a very doctory thing to do. I think it's just make the ordinary extraordinary for people. I think that's one of the best things that the character does. It kind of ties into the whole line about 900 years of time and space. I never met anyone who wasn't important that we get in Matt Smith. This feels very much that kind of thing. He makes everyone feel important and valued. And yeah, I think it's for most of the cast like the only character stuff they really get. So I think they do a good job with it. I think the dynamic and everything is really nice in that scene. I think they're all very well performed. I just think it's a very little wholesome moment. And I think what really made it stick out to me is because I'd completely forgotten about it.
Yes,
Because I just don't watch this episode. So I was like, oh, yeah, that was a really nice little moment. So for me, I think that was the best scene in the episode by a long shot. So that was a really good one.
Yeah, I do agree. I thought even when I was watching it, I was like, this is very wholesome. Sort of, you like to see that side of the Doctor that you we definitely didn't really see. I don't think much in series 4 necessarily. It was more that's what Donna would do. So it's good to see that the Doctor can still do that, and obviously it carries through into future generations as well. And yes, your point that they don't really get much character development after that, I think again plays into plays into that role. But it's fine. We'll come on to that. Um, my second positive is the use of unit in this. I think I've always enjoyed when unit have arrived on the scene. I think definitely adds a sense of like importance and danger to the episode, which I think this one probably did need a little bit of. And it also sort of grounds it to earth a little bit as well, which is quite useful. But I just think they're so, especially because I think they're considerably underused, and maybe that's why, because since Rusty Davis they didn't get much of a look in, since for a good few years. So maybe it's the fact that we haven't seen much of them. I just enjoy whenever they reappear. I think the return of Magambo
Yes.
is excellent.
Their only canonical appearance.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You're right. That's true. Except for in Autonomy, the book. So, or then again, other books,
And the novelization when she turns out to be a serial killer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, why not?
Point a gun at anyone.
Yeah,
get away with it. Why not?
Yeah, I think she was great in this. I liked her role, and it's another one where I'm like, oh, it's a shame she couldn't come back in a future episode. And then even Lee Evans is a strange choice to cast in Doctor Who, I will admit. But I think he again
a comedian in Doctor Who. Never.
No, I know. He is definitely put in there for being the comedian. And being the sort of, it feels as if they realise, we've not got that many jokes in this. We need to get some more lightheartedness in this. After
it's so boring. Get
planet.
the Evans.
Yeah, basically.
Quick.
But I do like that, and I do like the sort of diversity it shows that Unit has. In that there can be these wacky characters that are in there, and you could do a whole story around some mad scientist at Unit, and that could have been the plot in itself. But the fact that these are just sort of side characters, I quite enjoyed. So yeah, I think Unit is definitely, and I mean, it says a lot that Unit is based on Earth, and most of the plot is set on this desert planet. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but never mind. So what's your second positive?
The Tritovores.
Yes, they're my third.
I love my flyboys.
Mhm.
I think any time Doctor Who is like, here's a creature that we know, let's make it an alien. Let's just make a giant one, make it an alien. I often think more often than not, they come across really well, and I think this is a fine example of that. I think they look amazing. The prosthetics and everything on them is fantastic.
In HD as well.
And in HD, they look so beautiful.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's just a really cool, very simplified design, and like they just then wear overalls. But there's so much kind of to the design of their head and everything. I think it's so cool. I always get really sad when they die.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I feel for these flyboys that we've known for like 4 minutes. But
More than the
you do kind of feel like,
Buzzcast.
yeah, it's just like, oh, that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think it's a cool, little species to have on there. Again, I think they're just there to, because it's an hour-long special and things need to happen at some point, and they need more aliens than just CGI stingrays. So yeah, they're really cool. I like the dynamic with the Doctor and Christina that they kind of share. I like, their weird kind of speech patterns, and it is fun. So, kind of ties into, maybe we as the audience certainly won't understand them anyway, because the TARDIS isn't anywhere nearby to like translate it. So I think that's quite a cool little touch, that they just do some kind of odd spitballing dialogue with them. And yeah, just a really neat design. I think, they're visually very, very impressive. I think it holds up really well, considering this is not like 13 years ago. You think of Orphan 55 Fur Lady, and
Always,
what could
always
have
think
been?
of Orphan 55.
Always on my mind, in
Yeah.
my head, rent free. Benny. But yeah, I think they're a really impressive kind of design, and they come across very well in the episode, considering it's a very minor role and they probably easily could have just been cut out entirely. I do think they're a really cool feature.
Yeah, I do agree. They're my third positive. I think they look excellent, and it feels strange that so much of this budget has been put onto this fly people. It makes me think that maybe they were supposed to have a bigger role in it, but it got cut. I don't know, because that's a lot of budget to put in to create these.
Yeah, kind of looking at this episode, there's like 6 different stories at one point to what this episode was about, and I think it kind of comes across.
I think you can also tell that by the fact that it's a dual credit on the writers thing, which makes me think that Russell didn't want to take any credit for the rewrites that he had to do for this, because or maybe he wanted to be like, look, I've made some rewrites to this, which is why it's okay, please, because normally I think normally he doesn't worry about getting credit for that. So maybe he was like, right, I need to let people know here.
Yeah, normally every single episode is rewritten by the showrunner.
Yes.
And they normally just don't credit themselves.
Yes, so the fact that he did get credit in this makes me think that he did a significant amount in this. And I would hope that maybe these aliens are one of them, because I do think they are definitely one of the more unique designs we've seen. And when we compare it to the Vesper form of the Series 4, the fact that this is practical, it helps that they don't fly, I expect.
Ironic.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I do really like them. I think they look great. I think they look disgusting in HD. They're like gross little pink mouths.
Yeah, it's like really fleshy inside.
Yeah, I was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
But again, it's a big credit to the costume department and the design team to come up with it. And yeah, I really appreciate it, and I'd love to see them back, and to explore that. But they seem like a peaceful race, so they're probably not going to come back. So never mind.
Ooh.
The only peaceful race that can come back is the Ood, and that's it. No more.
No more.
That's it.
No.
Only the Ood. Only the Ood, and that's only because they kill people sometimes.
Yeah, those are the only costumes that have survived.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must be the Ood.
Yeah, God. Oh, never mind. Your third positive. What have you got?
My third positive is Malcolm.
Yay!
I wasn't expecting to like him. I'll be frank. I didn't really remember how I felt about him at the time. So I'm not that familiar with the Evans. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything other than Doctor Who. I haven't seen any of his work as a comedian really. So I didn't really know what to expect going into it again after so long. But I do think he is entertaining to watch. He's ridiculous. Yes. I don't know how on earth he's that clever, how he got this job. But he does have his, I guess, Lee Evans-y physical comedy moments, like when he gets blown up, falls off his chair for reasons.
Yeah.
But everything's fine anyway. I love you. just all of that stuff. It's very dramatic, and I'm still kind of gobsmacked that he got so much more screen time than the people on the alien planet in the bus. He
It's
just
because
sit
he's
there.
more famous.
But he's the big name. International audiences clearly will know Lee Evans. But yeah, I think he's fun. He does inject some kind of humor and entertainment value to it, I guess, even if things might be a bit slow. If they cut back to Malcolm just doing his silly nonsense, like I could at least kind of get some entertainment out of that. So I appreciated him popping up. I'm like, oh, thank God. There's just, I don't know if it's good per se when he's in it, but I think it's a lot more fun. And that's better, I would say, than just them walking across the desert time and time again, or Detective Man getting angry because he can't catch Christina. I'm like, I don't care about this.
Although again, we'll probably come on to that soon. But the Detective Man's very much like I'm here, I'm gone, I'm here, and then that's it.
Yeah, he didn't need to be in this at all.
This episode didn't happen. It's fine.
It didn't. No, you're right. But yeah, he was a bit of fun. So I thought I'd shout him out. I enjoyed his character. Expecting to go in and being like, oh God, not you again. But yeah, he had a few good moments in there. I did like his defense of the Doctor to Magambo, and she just got away with threatening him with a gun and brushed it off. She's a hero, so it's fine.
She's the commander in chief, so
yeah, so it's absolutely fine. She can get away with.
I think it's fine because that's very much a cliche military thing that happens.
Yes, cliches are famously good.
No, I know, but
yeah, I get it. It's fine. It's not like they had a whole hour to explore anything interesting or anything. But yeah, he was a good time. So well done, Malcolm. I needed positives, so thank you for existing.
Fair enough. I do have a sort of fourth side positive, and that's just the idea of the swarm creatures. I think they're quite a neat design. The design's cool. The concept behind them's cool. They're just very underused in this. It's very much like, oh my God, they did this. Let's run away, and then that's it. You don't really get to spend any time. Not that you could probably spend time with them, but there's not much. They never feel like a proper threat, even when they are, which I think is a shame. But given another story, you could probably do something better with them. Whenever are they going to use the swarm concept again? Probably not for a good decade or so, I would imagine.
Good name for a villain, though.
Yeah, I know, right? Get on that. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see them come back because obviously the Doctor was like, "Oh, I'm going to move their portals to other planets or whatever." But what if he just stopped and then they just, I would like to see the consequences of him not stopping them because he didn't really. He just saved Earth. He didn't stop the enemy. But
many other worlds have now perished.
Yeah, well, that's it. I'd like to see that, like him come face to face with sort of maybe this is coming back to Flux, but survivors of this swarm that sort of now vilify the Doctor for not stopping them because their homeworlds have been destroyed or something like that. I think it would be a cool concept and a cool way to extend this story. But I don't think it's going to happen because people don't really care for this episode. So why come back to it?
Why would they? Yeah.
So that's fair enough. I assume you don't have any other additional positives then?
I did like, for the most part, the supporting cast. I think were all pretty good. I do think Christina's like, they're in my hair. I think that's terrible acting. That's not great. And Carmen sounded bored for the first half of the episode. But apart from that, I do think
positive.
I know, but I was going to say, but apart from that, the supporting cast I think are good and really likable in general. They take next to no dialogue, and yet they kind of run a mile with it and do some really good, likable things. So I do think the banter between them worked really effectively. It's kind of summarized in that big scene that I liked, that I talked about at the start.
I especially like Daniel Kaluuya's future Oscar winner. Daniel Kaluuya, his you need gold. What about this? It's like
they saw you coming,
and his face like I really appreciate that one. I think if we had more sort of moments like that with the characters, I think I would have appreciated it more because that was excellent.
I want to see Tina. God damn it! Are they okay? Did he get the girl in the end?
No.
Oh.
It's fake. You lied to me. It's fake.
Yeah, just chucks them out.
But yes, as we've sort of alluded to, we're going to come on to the negatives now. I think I'll kick us off with something that perhaps might be in your negative list as well.
Right.
The lady who is psychic for being psychic's sake once again.
How did you know that would be in my negatives?
I was kind of going into this thinking, right, I know she's psychic, but hopefully she has something else in this. Nah.
No.
All of her lines are, "Oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
something's
I
happening."
will credit where credit's due. I will give them the whole. Well, I mean, it's still bullshit and just technical babble, but an alien son makes her abilities even greater.
Yeah.
But she still had it to begin with.
Yeah.
So she's still just going to do this wacky shit, and she does enough 4 times things when they're back. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but hey, she wins £20, so you know, every week.
Yeah, I mean,
how convenient.
Golden. I'd marry her too.
Still what it was. It paid for the wedding I did after 4 years.
Yeah, Lou is low key the best character in this. Even though every single one of his lines is just, "What do you mean, love? What is X, Y, and Z?"
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, again, credit that they say, at least they give an explanation, as a brief explanation as to why she can do it, but you know, she doesn't see the Tritivore aliens until like it appears to the audience. I was like, what?
Yeah, lady considers spots them, and she's like, "Something's here." Like, look out the window. Everyone can see that.
Yeah,
they're stood at the top of the big ass bank.
I know, and it's like, oh, there's so much death. So many people are dying. I'm like, they're all dead already. What are you on about? Pardon? You couldn't have known the aliens that you've only just realised were there were going to die. That doesn't work. And she said it after the bus driver had died. Yeah, I just think it's a bit. I think she's only there, or she's only there with the powers for the ending.
Yeah.
Spiel. Which I think is fine. I do like the whoa, he's gonna die. You know, I do enjoy that kind of foreshadowing, but I do think in this one, it's just a little bit more forced than it needs to be. So where does she rank in your negatives then?
Where did she come? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. To be fair, she was third.
Oh, that's right then. So,
but yeah, shockingly, she is on there. It's just because it's setting up such a big thing as well, like the not 4 times thing. That's literally the end of his era and like how he dies and everything, and just like, why do you do this again? Yeah. You just did this 2 episodes ago. Why? But yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. She's gone now. at least the payoff for this one is very good.
Yes. I think that's fair, yeah. My sort of second negative then is the use of the Tritivores watching them on a camera before they arrive.
The Spitrovores, am I right?
Yeah. Why put those shots in? They're just unnecessary.
Oh, are these gonna be villains? No,
I know. Well,
okay,
it's like
fine. And now they die.
Well, that's it. Because I think they just break up. Maybe again, it's just to break up the monotonous. Oh, we're in sand. Ooh, but it's just so unnecessary. Especially because they like first appear when the bus arrives, and then it's a good 20 minutes until they actually appear to the Doctor. It's like, so you've been watching them for this whole time. Why have you all of a sudden now decided to go and get them?
Yeah.
I just think it's unnecessary to have it in. I think it would have been much better if we just saw it on the hill and they're like, what the hell is that? And then they capture them or do something that way. And then the Doctor's like, oh, they've been watching us since we've arrived, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's fine. And also, I don't know if I'm a fan of how they're introduced, where they're like on the hill. It goes, whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you.
Whoa!
I'm sorry. Are we back in the 80s? Please don't do that again.
It just needed the wow! Wow!
Yeah. It's just it's just terrible. It's just, oh god.
The one of Colin Baker where it zooms in on his face.
Yes.
Should have just been that, but with the 5 people.
I mean, it's fine. I guess they just wanted some different shots to kind of hint that something else was happening, but they didn't need to be there. They could have just been revealed as, oh, there's another alien there, but padding and breaking up desert, I guess. Never mind. So what is your second negative?
Let's have a look. Well, this is technically my first because we had psychic for psychic's sake.
Yeah.
But I found the stingrays a bit pants, personally. They're just nothing, literally nothing. It's all CG. I do like the design of them. I do think they're neat. I do like the concept, but I just all of
they're
that.
Not used very well.
The stingrays, and they're just there to be shot out of the sky, and then they're made of metal and they can sustain all of this, and then they just get blown up by a unit easily. And there's something nothing. I think they could have been cool. But this is why you give a big army of monster things a designated leader, because then they have a character. But they're literally just a swarm of things. And therefore we have no dialogue with them. We have no proper motivation for them. They're just there.
It's probably why the Tritivores are involved, so that there's at least somebody there.
So it's actually some creature to interact with, and they are infinitely better. I just think it's a bit overall. It's such this big build up, and only for like 5 of them to actually get through in the end anyway, because I don't know, budget. I do like the reveal, like you just think like this big like sandstorm's approaching, and then you see the glints and like, oh, there's metal in there or something, and then you see that it's just like big ass army of stingrays. Because why not? But yeah, I think there's something nothing in the end, and considering they're kind of the villain, you've had a lot better. So
yeah, well that's it. Like even the Doctor at the end's like, oh well, it's not really their fault. They're just doing what they normally do. I'm like, so why include them? Why not just have a villain? Just have someone that's a bad guy. I don't know. And I mean, like, this is 2 episodes in a row now where the Doctor's faced and defeated a metal army.
True.
So 3 I guess in a row if you count the Daleks as well. Before they're also technically a form of metal, but come on, do something different. Just have
water. It's time for water.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we've had desert. Now it's time for water.
Yes, all the elements.
But at least you could have had just these Tritivores be creating wormholes to different planets to then devour them. You just merge the 2 together. But never mind. I just give up with this episode. Because, like you said, it's not.
I give up.
Like the concepts. The concept's not bad, and they look all right, but they're just not used very well.
I think that's what's frustrating. Is I don't think the ideas are bad. It's not like it's just the execution. I think could have leaves a lot to be my but they spent all the money going to Dubai for 3 days. So
worth
they couldn't really do anything else with it.
No. Sort of my last negative is just the way the rest of the cast is underused. There are 4 characters in this, really 6 if you count the 2. If you count the 2 alien flies, the others on the bus don't really count. They have like a line, 2 lines each. The detective guy doesn't count.
We're home. We're flying. He's doing it. Yes, we know.
The detective guy doesn't count. He has like 4 lines, and 3 of them are "You're coming with me" or something like that.
She's on the bus. Follow that bus.
And don't even get me started on how slow that car chase is with the bus and the police cars. I'm like, just go up, just stop him. Just stop the bus.
They couldn't catch a bus. She deserved to get away when you can't catch her ridiculous. When she gets on a bus, the slowest vehicle of all time.
Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I just think so many of them are underused, and it comes back to this whole thing of Doctor Who underusing these actors that are going to go on to big things. We've had, Felicity Jones, Andrew Garfield. We've had, fairly big actors that go on to do, big things, be just underused and wasted by the show, and I just don't get how we can keep doing it.
We can't keep getting away with it.
It doesn't make sense. But I just think they're not given enough. As you mentioned, that one scene on the bus where they talk about where they were going, that's really nice. That's about it, really. There's nothing else going on. I like the sort of hint at the end that maybe 2 of them are going to go and work with UNIT. So I think that gives an opportunity for their stories to progress in some other form, which I think is quite nice, and they could do more.
Novelization.
Yeah, well, that, and also, but Daniel's too big of a star now. He's not going to come back and do Doctor Who again. He's too busy doing Jordan Peele movies, scary movies. So he ain't coming back here. But yeah, it's just all of it's wasted. At least the bus driver, died at the start, so he didn't have to.
Oh, poor guy.
So
He didn't get to spend his diamonds.
No, he was. That's true. He was probably the best character because the lines he had were good, and then he died.
I do kind of wish he'd stuck around for the whole thing.
Oh yeah, he was like the only one that was.
Sorry, Nathan, but you could have just.
You luckily got off the top deck, you lucky bastard. Thank God you came down the stairs.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think there's just a lot of wasted in this.
Yeah.
Never
Someone should have died on the way there.
You would have thought that.
God, Nathan's been decapitated. Don't go upstairs.
I thought that, and I was like, well, looking at the upstairs of the bus, like it's not like it's collapsed, so people could have survived.
I suppose because they weren't expecting the bus to be damaged. That was a rewrite because
it's fine.
People on the ship dropped it.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe they would have had like an extra random person just to be killed if they'd have known. But
maybe.
Oh well.
Never mind. But yeah, and
F in the chat for bus driver, man.
The severe underuse of the rest of this cast.
I'm going home, mate.
No, wait. Well, the bus went through, so I can go through. No, hang on a minute.
No, you're not made of metal, we fool.
Just in time, mate. Just in time. Yeah.
He was the best character, wasn't he?
Oh God.
Works for me.
Oh, and it doesn't pull over when he sees police chasing him either. Don't know what that's about. I've
got places to be.
I've got a schedule to keep, mate. I'll keep it going.
I'm 2 minutes behind, mate.
Oh God. Never mind. So I guess your third negative was just. Wow, it was. Have you got any more negatives left?
Yeah, let's just run through these. Right. Oh yeah, glorifying theft. I wasn't quite on that, and she just gets away with it.
Yeah.
And
I did theft as well, so it's fine.
Yeah, so it's okay. We are the same, and yeah. Do you think they're made for each other? Do you think they think they're a good team?
No, because then by the end, the Doctor's like, "No, actually, I've decided against it. When you sexually assaulted me, I decided not to invite you on board the TARDIS."
We could have been so good together. Oh. Christina, we were. Were you? Did we watch a different episode?
They were all right in this together, I think. But I don't think I could have watched much more of it.
Well, one of my bonus negatives is I don't really like Christina that much. I don't think this was a particularly great advert for her Big Finish stuff, personally.
That's it.
Yeah, I just found her a bit way too over the top. And it's she gets an arc, but not really well.
It's undone, I think.
She gets away with it. Yeah, it's just a bit.
It would have been better if she got arrested and then maybe in her Big Finish, Torchwood or unit were like, actually, you've got some skills that we need you to use, so come work with us.
Yeah, you could have easily done like, I saw a whole planet that's literally like made of dead people and like.
It's in my hair.
Actions have consequences. I need to kind of live with the consequences of what I've done. And then she just lets herself be taken and whatever, some kind of redemption that way. But no, she just gets a bus and flies away and probably runs out of fuel in like 5 minutes and she's forced to her death.
It's not exactly inconspicuous.
Yeah, a London bus anywhere else in the world is going to look a bit weird.
Flying in the first place.
A big damaged bus. Yeah. So yeah, she's just a bit. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her. I do like that she changes the Doctor to something a bit different. I mean, Donna did as well, but a different kind of way. I don't know, just the whole opening sequence. I'm like, this is Doctor Who. Is this?
Yeah.
Just the idea of the character feels a bit like, I don't know if that fits. But it is what it is.
Sorry, lover.
Sorry, lover. When I said I hated you, I was lying. But yes, all of that. And then a lot of coincidences in this one. I know that's kind of just the fictional way, but a big crystal at the bottom of this big ass cavern. Thank God he's picked up a thief.
Thank God the aliens crashed, eh?
Who happened to get on the same bus as him, and
thank God her bag has a shovel and a hammer and a winch.
Thank God Black Panther star Daniel Kaluuya did 2 weeks at an apprenticeship so he can do this thing.
Didn't even finish the apprenticeship.
Thank God we have this psychic woman who's psychic for reasons. Thank God she stole this gold cup that we ended up needing to get away. Thank God we had this technology that could attach to the wheels and the steering wheel of this bus and be absolutely fine with no problems. Thank God the stingrays that were also hidden on the ship in the higher levels didn't wake up, even though it was hot up there. You know, stuff like that. There's a lot of it. And I didn't like make it a main positive because a lot of fiction just has that kind of stuff. But it's still important to point them out. I say, turning into an 80-year-old man. But
old man has the clouds.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, it is what it is. But there's a lot. It's just like, why? Why are you here? But you know, I was full of chocolate when I first watched this. So I was probably not. I was just hyper anyway, and it was the first Doctor Who of the year. I'm sure I had a good time watching it. But yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
That's fair. I think I want to give a special shout out to the terrible CGI, made worse, I think, by HD. Particularly the flying bus. I think when it like takes off, it's like, it's too like round and soft and bubbly, if that makes sense. You know, it just doesn't feel real. And then even, you know, the swarm aren't horrifically bad CGI. I think they can get away with it a little bit.
No.
But the flying bus doesn't.
The comical way the Tritovals get eaten as well. Disappear.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I think HD is good. I'm glad this is in HD, but it did not do any favors for the CGI in this, unfortunately. But at least with, you know, the next couple of episodes, it's physical stuff. I think, isn't it? Waters of Mars is pretty physical.
I think all the water's practical in Waters of Mars. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it definitely is for the woman. I definitely remember.
Yes.
Like putting pumps and stuff on her. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. Brill. Right, so we're at the end of what we think. But what fun facts have you brought for us? I'm excited to see how terrible this could have been.
Just you wait. Okay, so shocking no one. This is the first Easter special of Doctor Who. The second being the upcoming Legend of the Sea Devils.
Yay! Next week.
Yes, and Legend of the Sea Devils was also a very rushed last-minute production, so I can't wait for that.
Yay!
Both these specials are cursed, but it's fine. That one has Sea Devils. This was, I don't know why Doctor Who Wiki had this as a thing, but I find it quite funny. This was the only time that Doctor Who aired at the same time as ITV's Primeval, described as the channel's answer to Doctor Who. I wonder which one got more viewers.
Unfortunately, Primeval didn't get the viewers, but I would urge anyone to go and see Primeval because it is excellent.
Like Primeval.
And if enough people watch it, maybe it will come back.
But I mean, it did come back and it was bad.
No, it came back in America as a spin-off, and that doesn't count.
Okay, fine.
But yes, go and watch Primeval. It's excellent. I'm sure you can find it on something somewhere, on some stream.
Yeah, the box sets are pretty cheap at this point.
A couple. The first two series are on like BritBox. You can get like series 1 to 5 for like 15 quid, I think. Worth it. Go and watch it. Very good.
It's good.
This
is the yeah. Don't watch this. Where's our Primeval?
I'll put this at the start. Say before you watch this, go and watch Primeval then.
Next week, shouting into the anomaly.
Oh,
covering Primeval now.
Don't tempt me. I will.
Don't tempt me, Satan. Anyway, this is the 200th televised Doctor Who story. The show references this in universe by making the bus the number 200. Ha ha ha. This is the first Doctor Who story to be filmed and broadcast in a HD. Well done. It certainly benefited from that.
It was when you zoomed in on the security guard's side of head. I was like,
oh my god. Oh yeah, there's really bad security guards. Like that was another thing with Christina. Why would you swap it with an item that makes a noise? Like you could have got away scot-free.
If she didn't make the noise, it would have been fine. I was like, what are you doing? And why? Why? She went through the roof. Why was she then in the building? Don't go back inside.
She went back up and then she was just in there. You fool. You could have been ages away before the alarm set off.
She just wanted her boyfriend to be caught so she could keep it for herself.
It is. Anyway, moving on. David Tennant struggled to replicate the voice he used for the Doctor, having spent 6 months playing Hamlet with the Royal Shakespeare Company using a slightly tweaked English accent. Much like Billie Piper, when she struggled to play Rose again in Series 4, he had to rewatch older episodes of the show as an aid to get the voice back. So,
fair enough.
Fun.
I bet you can do it like in the click of his fingers now.
Probably, yeah. Michelle Ryan performed most of her own stunts in the episode, including the high wire sequence that opened the episode, which is quite impressive, to be fair. Ryan was also a huge fan of the show before joining. Hopefully she still is. We'll see. Maybe this episode changed her mind.
Well, she does Big Finish, so I would assume she's still a
That's
fan
true, yeah.
in some form.
I'm sure she's a fan and the money hasn't run out. Outside scenes on the planet were filmed on location in Dubai. The first time Doctor Who was filmed in an Arabic country. Proof controversial, as we're going to find out now.
Shocking.
But that's fine. The show was criticised for filming in Dubai, citing the UAE's
Terrible human rights record.
Yes, as being gay was a crime in Dubai and led to 10 years imprisonment. So that's fine.
And there are still issues today as well.
But the trouble in Dubai doesn't end there, friends. Filming in Dubai was plagued with trouble. The original intention was for the bus to remain intact when it traveled to the planet. However, the bus was damaged on the journey, so the visible damage to the roof was written into the story, and the damage was then attempted to be recreated on the twin bus they had back in the UK. Not quite successfully, but they gave it a good go. The first of 3 days of filming in Dubai was also impacted by a severe sandstorm, leaving the entire day's footage unusable. Yes, and they ended up having to cram 3 days of filming into 2. So great, but at least the cast had a holiday, getting covered in sand and all in all.
Yeah, they probably didn't though, is it? Because they probably had to go over there for the 3 days and then go back to London to film the rest like the next day. So they probably didn't even get like, any time off.
Yeah, that's true. David Tennant and Adam James, who plays Detective Inspector Macmillan, had been friends for 10 years and had worked together prior to this episode. He's also John Pertwee's godson. All the connections, everything must come back to Doctor Who and the absolute Chad, John Pertwee. The episode was only just completed at 11:30 p.m, 5 days before the episode was due to air, because production issues and stuff.
Crunch,
and it was worth it. What an episode we got. This is one of the few occasions where the Doctor refuses to take a companion on board. Don't blame him in the slightest. The story went through several drafts to kind of come up with their final story. Initially, it focused on a space opera about a giant war, possibly featuring the Chelonians, which is from a Doctor Who comic. A story about time-freezing centaurs in a deserted hotel, which, kind of close. A Star Trek pastiche, so they're just kind of like going for the vibe of Star Trek, which
Star Trek crossover,
but probably a bit too on the nose, I guess. And a story about an outer space hotel with disappearing guests that were taken down to a nearby planet to be implanted with alien eggs. Hooray!
Oh,
gross. So
sounds more Torchwood than Doctor Who.
It does, yeah. This is the first episode of the revived series to credit 2 writers. Worked out so well, especially because one of the writers is not a great man. Nope. And Christina becomes the 9th character to kiss the Doctor and the 8th in the revival.
What a slut.
Yes. It was always the intention, sadly, for the Tritovals to be killed off, as they couldn't really figure out what to do with them if they had gone back to
them the villain.
So it was just easier to kill them.
Take them home.
Yes. All that money on that prosthetics and just don't do anything. And then finally, this was the only special in the complete specials box set to be the original broadcast version of the episode. Every single other one has different music and editing and stuff in the box sets.
Well, because this one was so rushed, they didn't have enough time to do anything.
Yeah, they couldn't tweak it. Yeah.
God.
So there you go. As you can see, I think the treble production does kind of shine through in the end, unfortunately. But they tried their best. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does. But never mind. I guess it's fine.
The best part of the episode was the What's the Mousetrap at the end.
Yes, yeah. And you have to watch the whole credits as well before you get to that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Later this year.
Yeah, like a whole 6 months later. Ridiculous. So, what are you giving it out of 10?
I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think I'm just going to give it a 5 and go straight down the middle.
Nice, fair enough. Mine's a 5.5.
That's fair.
Because I definitely preferred last week's to this one.
Yes.
I think it's probably safe to say, without watching any of the other specials, that this is the worst special.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would also argue that maybe it's the worst we've had since series 3.
Yes.
I would say as well.
I think probably the worst since 42, I think.
Yes.
For me.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, because
episode still burns me,
I think
ironically.
Lazarus and 42 were the last.
Oh god,
time
yeah,
we had-
that's as well.
we
Yeah,
had we
God,
had
that was a rough 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
At least, hopefully next week, we'll have a good week with Waters of Mars. That's
Yes.
next. What do you remember of the Waters of Mars, or just Waters of Mars? I don't know.
I think it's the Waters of Mars, I think.
Of course.
But yeah, I remember being scared.
Yes.
I remember like,
Halloween.
oh dear,
Ooh.
shit's hitting the fan. But yeah, obviously this is one of the most popular episodes of this era. And I think there's good reason for it, from what I remember. It's bloody good. So I'm excited to see that. And to see how much like it all holds up with the monsters being pretty scary.
Yes.
And then, this is probably the start of the whole time of Victoria's thing, and the end of it, technically. So yeah, companion commits suicide. Why not? That's fun. Gemma Chan, excited to see.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah,
Another one.
Another one. Another one.
Not another one.
But at least I do think this crew in particular probably gets a bit more to do overall.
100%. Yeah.
I think.
I would argue yes.
I guess we'll find out. Except for the one who just like watches a video of her family where she's dying. I don't think she gets much, but it's all very sad.
Yeah.
F in the chat.
Everyone dies. It's sad.
Yeah, and then the doctor decides to save the rest. He's like, "Well, the minor characters have died now.
Now I'm going to save you.
Now I'll save the rest of you. You could have done this 15 minutes ago. Half of us are dead now. No, only now. Gadget.
If you did, if only you screamed over the comms sooner, you would have all stayed alive.
It would have been absolutely fine. But never mind. What can you do?
Oh,
yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it's a bloody good episode, so I'm hoping it still holds up after all these years. I imagine it does. It will certainly be, I think, the best special thus far, and probably my favorite special of all of them. So I'm looking forward to checking it out again. It's going to be fun, I would assume.
Yep, I think this is definitely now again the start of the upward trajectory for me, at least. I think I quite like Waters of Mars. I quite like The End of Time Part 1 and Part 2. That's well known, and I 11th Hour I think is obviously one of probably, if not the best first episode of a Doctor / series. I think it's excellent. And
it's the 12th anniversary of that, like a few days ago, and I'm like, wow, we're old.
It's been the anniversary of all the first. Like they all started like almost every day. There was one. Oh, it's been 14 years since this one. And then I think the next third might be Beast Below. Maybe.
I don't hate the Beast Below, but it's definitely. I think it's going to be like another average-ish one. I think, yeah.
And then we've got Victory of the Daleks as well, which I think is okay.
That's fine. The first half's very good. The second half isn't.
But yes, that means we are like that's 3 episodes of David Tennant we've got left coming up, which is
I've got nothing left.
So it'll be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, there are other David Tennant 10th Doctor things that are released around this time. You had loads of books where it was just David Tennant going off, and some of them are pretty good. My highlight of that I think is Prisoner of the Daleks. I think is a very good Doctor Who book with David Tennant just as a standalone Doctor with no companion. I think that's excellent. So I highly recommend.
He's in the Sarah Adventures this year.
Yes, he is. That's the one where she gets married, I believe.
Yeah. It's the last. It's actually the last thing he filmed as a Doctor. So he'd already wrapped on End of Time before that.
Oh, lovely! Wow, there you go. Go and watch that. I think it's series 3.
3. Yes, because series 4 is Donna Matt Smith and Joe Grant. Yeah.
There you go. Go watch that if you want. Also, this, around this time, I mean, after Waters of Mars is when Time Lord Victorious, the books and comics and audios and all that happen. I'd recommend the books for those as well. They're pretty okay. I think Time Lord Victorious, the idea lends itself more to the visual, so it's probably better off reading the comics for it. Especially with like some of the Daleks that they introduce, you see them for the first time, like, oh, that's what they're supposed to look like. You don't quite get that with the book, but
don't forget to buy the T-shirt, folks, that has the hidden message on it, which is part of the story. Apparently, I'm sure many people bought that.
Yay! But yeah, I mean, it's all to come. All Doctor Who's great, guys. None of it's bad except for Fear Her. There's nothing redeeming about Fear Her.
I mean, In the Forest of the Night still coming up.
That's true. And Kill the Moon.
Yeah.
Don't forget Kill the Moon.
I'd like to.
But yes, we'll be back next week with Waters of Mars, and then very soon after that, we'll have another video where we discuss Jodie Whittaker's penultimate episode as well, which is coming up very soon. When it's roughly a week away now, so it'll be very exciting to see what happens there. And as always, if any proper big breaking news comes out, then we will also cover that. But who knows? I imagine if that's going to happen, it will happen a couple of weeks after Legend of the Sea Devils.
Yeah, it'll be in between. Yeah.
So
Whatever
who knows?
the last one's called. Yeah.
We will see what happens. But yeah, that's it for this week, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.